I'm not saying humans can't do things. I'm saying we need to shift, and they didn't want to hear it. So pandemic hits, you now have to lock all the doors. I got one phone call and it was, Dalia, do whatever it is that you need to do. I said, perfect, get out of the way and let me knock it all out. And I took all of our systems and made it all online and digital almost overnight.
In this episode of Humans of Multifamily, I sit down with Dalia Kalgreen, Vice President of Business Development at Unified Residential Management. She didn't plan on a multifamily career. She planned to go to law school. But what started as a leasing job evolved into a lifelong pursuit of learning, leadership, and building real relationships. Driven by deep curiosity and a passion for growth, Dalia proves you can be strategic and human at the same time. This episode is a blueprint for authentic, people-first leadership in modern multifamily.
What should we as a tech company make sure we're doing right to ensure that we're training on-site teams most effectively?
We don't want them to have to be trained on anything more than how to be human and let the AI be AI, and how to work alongside it. Nobody's here to take your jobs, but your job will change. I've been preaching about this forever, how it should be customer relationship management. There is not really leasing an assistant anymore. You have a lot of AI that can run that. You need to know how to be human.
What are those human things that we should now, assuming that AI is going to take up a lot of the job, what are those human things that people need to be focusing on?
Property managers lose hours chasing rent, while delinquency and filing costs add up to massive losses. The financial impact? Millions in unpaid rent sold to collections agencies that recover just 20 to 30%, while taking a huge cut. Now, the Kelsey you trust for leasing helps you recover more rent in-house, reducing reliance on agencies and maximizing revenue. With Collections AI, Kelsey automates rent and move-out collections, from the first missed payment to move-out, while ensuring compliance across jurisdictions. Easily train and set up Kelsey on your company's collections process, including CARES and state-regulated workflows. She doesn't just set reminders. Kelsey answers resident questions, tracks promise to pay dates, and follows up persistently to keep payments on track. Need oversight? Corporate teams can monitor collections in real time with Zuma's dashboard, while site teams use the Chrome Assistant to track payments and even respond as Kelsey when needed. Kelsey also evaluates resident risk with AI, providing instant insights to help you make smarter renewal decisions. The impact? Doubles collections velocity, reduces filings, cuts site team workload by 85%. Stop leaving rent revenue on the table. Let Zuma's Collections AI handle the heavy lifting while you focus on what matters. Get started today.
Wait, so why do you guys use a VPN?
I want control, though. I want control over who's going to have my data, not any other way. And so, yeah, I'm on Red Note. I have DeepSeek because I chose to give China my data.
Yeah.
But I'm not okay with being on platforms that sell my data. I'm not anybody's to sell.
So, yeah, tell me about that, because I feel like people have really strong opinions there. Why is it?
You do? Because I feel like most people don't.
So what is the issue with that? It's like a personal thing.
But yeah, it's once you realize that you are the commodity and that you are being sold with your knowledge, maybe now, or but definitely without your consent. You signed the small little print that says you consented, but you don't know where your data is actually going. You don't know how it's being sold. You don't know what you're actually being told. And of course, you get the ads that are hyper curated for you. And some people like that. I don't like to be sold to. I've never liked to be sold to. I'm not the type of person that you can actually sell to, which makes me a great trainer at our company. But it's because of that. I don't want to be sold to. I want to choose my own products, choose when I do want to find something. I want that autonomy. And I feel that there's been a huge data issue over the last few years that a lot of people are talking about, because now people are coming to see where their data is actually going and that they're making money off of your data.
And where do you think this idea of not wanting to be sold to comes from? This is just
no, that's just me.
No, but where does that come from, you think? Like,
for me?
Yeah, for you specifically.
I'm big on freedom of choice. I'm huge on freedom of choice. I want the freedom to choose my life and what is presented in front of me. Plus, I'm a child of always learning. I love to learn new things. And if you're constantly shoving things in my face, you're not giving me the freedom to even try to learn what it is that I'd like to learn. If I followed that same path, I wouldn't learn anything about AI. I wouldn't be presented that because they wouldn't have sold me that. They would have sold me makeup, purses, clothes. I don't want to be sold makeup, purses, clothes. I want to be sold nothing. I want to go find my own stuff. Freedom of choice is big. I've actually always been an advocate for that.
Really? So are you into like, do you believe in like, are you into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and all that stuff?
I dabble.
You dabble. But even as a concept, I don't know too much about it.
As a concept, it's less about the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrencies and more about Web3. I was really excited about where Web3 was going and how you can literally take communities and replicate them and sell virtual realities to people, especially in a time where people are lonely. But we as an industry are still very far behind on where we're going with all that. There's so much potential there. But that's where I find more value. And it is based on the same foundation as cryptocurrency. It's the decentralization of everything.
How do you integrate all? I feel like you're really interested in all this,
so many
things and all this tech stuff. How do you integrate that?
That's why my title is VP of Stuff. It's like I literally, there's nothing you can say that I do because I dabble in everything. But that's what I find fun. That's what I do for fun is I research or I network and talk to people that know more. I'm not that smart. I just go and I talk to people that are in those things and learn from other people.
And you do it, why? Because you're just curious. You're naturally curious.
Born that way.
Interesting. So before all this tech stuff, what were you curious about?
Human rights.
Human rights.
Before tech, I was interested about human rights. I was interested about housing. I'm interested about science, huge into science. Literally, that was my major in college. I doubled in molecular genetics and women's studies. So I'm very big on both of those. Yeah, I'm totally using that.
That's pretty cool.
Then I mastered in psychology. Like who does all that?
Yeah.
And then ends up in real estate. But I have a lot of fun here, and you use it all, believe it or not. It's just a different way of thinking. So yeah, I guess that's what it was.
How do you feel like you use it all?
Because I have been told one too many times that I have a unique way of approaching problems or looking at anything that's brought to me. I have a different way of interpreting it and coming out with a different output. So usually I'm a brainchild for a lot of people. I've been on so many product advisory boards. It's insane for that same reason. It's just trying to understand how to think. This is literally what I ingrain in my own kids. Like, you have to know how to think. Because they don't want to go to school and they definitely hate math. And I'm like, it's not, those are words you can't say in this house. I was like, first of all, I'm Arab. We don't say we hate math. And definitely you can't say you hate science. You better be good at it. But anyway, it's because it teaches you how to think. Neil deGrasse Tyson even did a whole big speech about that. It's not that I'm ever going to use a quadratic formula ever in my lifetime. But do I know how to use it to solve a problem? Yeah. Because it taught me how to think about how many different ways you can solve the same problem.
Have you read any of like Charlie Munger's stuff?
No.
Charlie Munger has there's this one chapter of a book that I think is the best chapter of a book that I've ever read, and it's the psychology of human misjudgment. Oh. And the idea of the chapter in the book is all about, it's in Poor Charlie's Almanac, and it's all about how humans, like it's understanding exactly how to think and understanding what drives psychology of human beings. And if you can understand that, then you can understand anything. So I think it's almost like what you're saying, which is,
yeah, but I'm learning it the hard way.
You're learning it the hard way, which
I'm
is
gonna
like,
read that book.
Yeah, it's really, Charlie Munger is like really fascinating. He just has a lot of these aphorisms and phrases. Do you listen to a lot of podcasts, or where do you consume your information?
Just about everywhere. I read books. I'm currently reading The Color of Law. Somebody sent it to me. I received it in the mail. There's no note. I have no idea who sent it to me, but thankful. So I'm reading that book.
Wait, somebody just
randomly last year shipped me the book, The Color of Law. If they're listening to this, please tell me who sent it to me.
That's a cool idea, actually.
Yeah, to just randomly send a book.
Just like randomly, no note, nothing.
I know, right? It was really cool. And so I'm reading that. I do learn a lot just by reading different articles. I don't listen to a ton of podcasts. The podcasts I listen to are like, well, I listen to yours. And then I listen to like murder, crime.
Okay,
I hate that I love true crime, but
I feel like women love true crime more than men.
Only if it's solved. I don't like if it's not solved.
Yeah.
It's got to be solved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do love the true crime. It's just learning how creepy people are and how they came to be and what enticed them to do these things.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to me. And I listened to this one called Red Handed. I'm obsessed with it. I've listened to all 300 plus episodes of
What is that one about?
This is the true crime is, but it's these two ladies from England, and they cover crime around the world. All these stories that happened around the world, and so I just learned a bit more about human behavior than anything for that. So yeah, I can't say that I learned too much from podcasts. A lot of people I know do.
So speaking of another tool, there's this tool that we've been recently obsessed about that I'm yet to apply it proficiently. But have you heard of Notebook LM?
Mm-mm.
So I think it's a Google tool or something, but it's, you can basically you can input a bunch of information from different channels, from like YouTube, from PDFs, from like whatever medium, put it into this thing, and you can create a podcast. So first you can search it completely. So what I did actually with Humans of Multifamily is I put all 30 episodes that have been released. And I'm like, tell me about who talked about AI and the problems that they experience. And it'll give me all the episodes, the transcript of the episode, and all I have to do is just put the YouTube link in there.
Nice.
But what's really cool about it, which I want to use it for, is you can actually upload all of this information. It will create a podcast of two people talking.
Yeah.
And you can join that podcast.
Oh, no
and
way.
like talk and like learn.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that insane?
That is insane.
And like talk about it, ask questions. And
Yes.
we were talking about how, in school, I was somebody that like would try to listen in class, and then 5 minutes I'd tune out, and then I'd just like be like, I'm just going to learn this on my own. And it was easier to do for some subjects, but for like physics and math, it's kind of hard because you need to like engage. And I was imagine having this tool in school.
Yeah.
You just upload all your things. You like join a conversation, and you can just like really learn as if you had teachers or instructors.
That would be so cool.
Isn't that crazy?
That would be really cool. The other argument would be, if you have that, why do you need to learn it? Like, what do you need to learn from that?
What do you mean?
Like, you would, why even have that type of education if you can lean on AI to provide
Exactly.
that?
You mean, why get a formal education?
Yeah.
Exactly. That was our conclusion. We were literally talking about this yesterday. That was like, if you can do that, why would I pay $250,000 to go to some private school and like, for what? And especially nowadays, like, I don't even look at education personally for me when we're hiring. Like, I don't know what college they're going to. I don't really pay attention to that because like what I think matters more is your ability, like learning agility is a term that we use in the company, right? Like, are you a fast learner? Are you not only a fast learner, but are you like are you learner obsessed? Are you obsessed with learning? Because especially when you're building a startup, which you've interacted with many of them, things are just changing so quickly, and your ability to learn is like what matters. There's something in
and adapt and change.
How
quickly can you move? And like you said, competency. Are you a quick learner? But then how quickly, if it all goes up in flames, can you turn and go the other way and keep moving?
Exactly.
That adaptability is not in everybody.
Totally, yeah. And another thing, there's this like metaphor or phrase that Sam Altman like coined is hire for slope, not y-intercept.
Oh,
It's like a nerdy.
You are so nerdy.
Yeah, that was nerdy.
I love that.
But I can only use it on you. So that's why I was like, I'm going to use it. So it's like, don't hire for y-intercept because of the need to adapt. Hire for slope, the rate of change and the ability for somebody to actually like grow and learn. Because if you're a startup that's growing, you need to be able to ride that growth wave. So it doesn't really matter where you start. What matters is you can like accelerate and learn and adapt as the company evolves.
Right. Because you might have shifts that you have to make.
Yeah.
And it's just, you have to be able to do that very quickly. We did. I mean, when my company, it's not my company, where I work now, Unified Residential, they started in August of 2019. What happened in March of 2020?
Yeah.
Like, we literally birthed in August of 2019.
That's crazy.
And then in November of 2019, so that was in Ohio, we took on 6 properties. Totally fine. I mean, I think we were all as a cakewalk at that point. And then in November, we took on all of Texas, which was another 2,000-ish units, kind of Dallas, Houston, and Austin area. And then by March of 2020, we had Memphis, all of Texas, all of Ohio, and getting ready to take on Florida. And then the pandemic hits. And it didn't stop us. All that happened was finally I got unleashed. Because for the whole time, they were always telling me, no, you can't roll out this AI. No, we need to still have humans do everything. I'm like, I'm not saying humans can't do things. I'm saying we need to shift. And they didn't want to hear it. So pandemic hits, you now have to lock all the doors. I got one phone call and it was, Dalia, do whatever it is that you need to do. I said, perfect. Get out of the way and let me knock it all out. And I took all of our systems and made it all online and digital almost overnight.
Wow. So when you first started, it wasn't digital.
They had ideas of becoming paperless. So they were trying to be paperless applications, workflows like that. But it really wasn't successful. There were still papers everywhere. Getting people to let go of the comfort of printing out a lease or an application or work orders or whatever the case might be is hard. It's hard to do. And so they just were not really able to do that fully till the pandemic hit.
And what are the backgrounds of the people that started the company? Like, do they start a previous property management company or?
You think I would know that?
Yeah.
I know that my CEO, she's been in the industry for decades and she knows everybody. She sat at but she's in Houston, HAA chair at one point. So she's been in the industry forever. So I guess for her, this was just the next step.
Yeah, it's actually really fun for me to talk to somebody that is so interested in AI, because that is in property management. And I'm wondering, where do you, because you mentioned this cross-functional, thinking and multidisciplinary, approach to problem solving, which I think makes sense. Can you tell me, where you apply that in your day-to-day in property management?
Oh, it's every day. First of all, I do stuff. That's literally what I do. So I pick up tickets, and sometimes it's I'm the only person that's running all the IT tickets for our company. So I have to understand, okay, is it your computer? Is it the system? Is it the program? And if that's not the case, all right, well, where after that point do I go? How do I actually solve this? Do you know half the time it's user error? Half the time anything's user error. So once I get through all that, then I'm looking at, okay, overall systems, functionality. If I'm sitting at a leasing office and I'm having issues with the applications, do we have the right applications in place? Now I need to go search, and then when you're searching, how can you fit that in your tech stack? And what needs do they have on site? Which is why I was actually really excited about your company. I know we're not here to talk about your company, but I vetted y'all, a couple weeks ago, and your company fits the exact gaps that our needs are right now, which is delinquency, just having somebody automate delinquency, and then also for that chatbot. We used to have a chatbot. We don't really have that, and it's lack of better words, but finding that to plug back in. So I manage all of our tech stacks. I guess it's hard to say how I use it specifically in a day because it's used so much. I used Claude to write everything I'm saying tomorrow. Tonight I fly out to go to St. Louis, and we have a big grand reopening for our 4 high-rise buildings in the Central West End in St. Louis. And I'm emceeing the whole event. I'm also doing all the TV interviews for the event. And I'm like, well, what am I going to say? And how am I going to Daliafy this? Because I got to Daliafy everything. It's got to be in my terms. You can tell me what to say. Yeah. But one thing I've never, ever, ever been good at is memorizing. I can't memorize a thing if you told me to, which is, I'll get to that story in a minute. Yeah. But anyway, I used Claude. I said, hey, Claude, you know me. Tell me, I need this bullet pointed here, and this is my audience. Tell me what I should be saying. And I need it to be witty. I need it to be sarcastic. I need it to be a little bit professional. Give me talking points. And then I have this back and forth conversation with Claude, and I'll tell him where to scrape. I ask him to cite sources. I now have everything in front of me and can present that. So we'll see how it goes tomorrow, but I've used it for everything.
Yeah. So for those listening that are fairly new to AI or haven't really explored with all the tools out there.
Shame on them.
Shame on them.
I have talked for years about if you're not on board now, you will get left behind. And those of us that have been on board will take over. That's what's going to happen.
My thesis here is that people still don't really understand how powerful these tools are.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. No, the
I
amount
don't
of
think
things
you're
that,
wrong. You're not wrong.
like the things that I'm doing, now I'm obsessed with the voice to dictation
I
feature.
do that all the time. Yeah.
And now I'm just like talking to it and
Yeah.
I'm just like explaining for 2 minutes and I'm like, this is the email, this
Yep.
is the context. Like I want it to sound like this.
Yeah.
And it's like, it is the closest thing that has felt like magic. And
I
I
know.
feel like people don't really talk about it enough, or they're just acting like
I don't think they use it.
it's not that, yeah.
I don't think they
which
use
is
it anymore.
shocking to me how
Well,
powerful it is.
I know that companies have had to roll out a lot of policies, us included, which is you cannot put proprietary information in just Chat GPT. You can't. You can't be like, I'm having this resident issue at this property and it is this, because now that is open source. It's open. And there's people that don't even understand that and that data issue barrier. So there have been some laws or rules, it's not laws, put in place for companies to not allow their team members to use it to that effect. And I don't disagree, because I don't think people that do know about it don't know how to use it or don't know how to use it properly. It's really sad.
So let's break this down. Let's start with, why don't we do like a little mini masterclass here? So like talk us through the models that you use and why you use each of them.
Oh God, I don't even know.
At a
if I
high
can
level, like
remember
why
so
do you
many.
use Gemini? Why do you use Claude? Why do you use ChatGPT? What in your experience, what is one good at versus the other? Not technically, just like why do you, because before we were recording, I said I only use ChatGPT.
Yeah, you do.
I don't use.
You said that you use ChatGPT.
I don't use all of them. Why do you use so many of them?
Sometimes to see which one's going to get me the better output. They both know me. They both know my tone. They know my brand. I've actually built projects in each of them and go through those specific projects to ask for more things, because you can set up the tone that way. So I've built them both that way. So sometimes it's just to see which one's going to give me a better output. Truly, that's all. Of course, I use Canva. I use a lot of Canva, and Canva has in itself its own power. People don't understand it's not just for marketers anymore. They think that Canva is just to make things look pretty.
Yeah.
No.
Actually, talk to me about that, because I actually
Canva
don't use
is
Canva.
heavy AI.
How is it evolved?
And do you know that Adobe even also built an AI? Because I got mad at it yesterday. I was sharing my screen with somebody and I accidentally right-clicked the wrong thing, and it was generating an image off of whatever I accidentally highlighted.
Because they bought
What?
Figma. I
Yeah.
think, right?
Yeah, they're all doing all this stuff. Canva is extremely powerful. I've written investor letters off of Canva. I have written whole training programs out of Canva. Obviously, you can do your social media, connects to a calendar, connects to every single account, and you can post sort of automatically that way. I don't know if you want me just to talk about Canva, but that's what I use that one for.
So on Canva, on the piece of Canva, we just hired somebody to own training at our company.
Oh, good for you.
I recently did a poll on LinkedIn of it was what are the biggest rate limiters to AI was the general question, and there was like ROI, lack of trust, training, and a budget. And the number one answer was training.
But training how? 'Cause
As a limiter, poor training. Poor training as a limiter for adopting AI.
it's true. But I have gone on multiple stages at this point, lecturing about the training that needs to happen with AI is how to work alongside it, not that it can be used for XYZ. That's the problem. Too many people are too scared to use it, or they go and they use it and it doesn't have the right output. So they throw their hands up and they go try to do something else. The problem with training is working alongside it, not knowing how to use it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So tell me how you use Canva for training, and like what should we as a tech company make sure we're doing right to ensure that we're training on-site teams most effectively? What do people get wrong? What do most tech companies get wrong?
You know, it's funny is with your company, I don't want them to talk to the on-site teams as much. Like, but
Oh,
we
really?
want
Have you told them that? Or
Yeah,
have you told that?
I've talked to. I think his
Okay.
name's Alan.
Yeah.
And he brought on one of the girls on your back end that does a lot of the coding stuff.
Caitlin or
Yes,
Eric.
Caitlin.
Caitlin is great. Yeah.
Yes, she knows a lot of stuff. It was
Yeah.
great. We powwowed.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was about because they get overwhelmed. You are talking about people that are dealing with the public, the people, and that in itself has changed because people are stressed. People don't have the patience anymore to come in and even deal with a human. So when you're talking about, okay, let's give you more training on another tool, they're tired. Everybody is in tool fatigue at this point. They're really tired of having more. So why I was so excited about Zuma was that you sit on the back end. I get to work with the tech, and then the other regionals and top level people or higher up people can deal with that training. People on site, they just need to be trained in terms of they know that it's there, but you don't need to touch it. Don't touch it. Like just know that it's there, because that's all that I ever would ask for. If tech really wants to do something right at this point, it's to simplify it so that it embeds within their already workflow, that they're not having to learn something new because they're tired. So right when I said the whole pandemic thing happened and we rolled everything out, the next thing happened, which is everybody was overwhelmed with logins. Single sign-on became a thing like that everybody was pushing for. And even then, does your single sign-on play nice with other single sign-ons? And can you even really build that? It became very overwhelming. And so the big push in the industry is to reduce the amount of things or back-end tools that on-site teams need to be trained on. We don't want them to have to be trained on anything more than how to be human and let the AI be AI, and how to work alongside it. Nobody's here to take your jobs, but your job will change. I've been preaching about this forever, how it should be customer relationship management. There is not really leasing a assistant anymore. You have a lot of AI that can run that. You need to know how to be human.
100%. This is like so gold. I think like
That's what I talk a lot about.
Yeah, no, and it's like, this is something that I've been thinking about too, is I think part of the problem is we almost need to like redefine these roles entirely.
Yeah, and good luck with that.
By definition, right? Like I think we have to actually go to the drawing board and rewrite what it looks like to have a workforce in property management and rethink like the roles, responsibilities, all of that stuff. Because I think to your point,
you're not wrong, but I do want to put this in your ear. There are a lot of property management companies that don't have anybody that sits in a tech role that understands property management and understands tech. If they have an IT department, that's all they understand, IT. And if they have a training department, cross your fingers that they know how to use all those tools. The people that exist that are like me, I have only met a handful.
And I think when you said let AI do AI things, let humans do human things, what are those human things that we should now, assuming that AI is going to take up a lot of the job, what are those human things that people need to be focusing on?
Soft skills. So I sit on the board at the Columbus Apartment Association, and I wrote a course with another colleague who also sits on the board with me. And the whole course is soft skills. It's how to show empathy, how to be compassionate, how to use the AI as a support tool, just like I use Claude, just like you use ChatGPT as a support tool to help you be confident in your role. But no AI, no conversation I could ever have with Claude could ever substitute a night out with my friends or a conversation that I'm going to have with somebody else. It just can't. You can talk to the podcast people, but deep down, you know they're not real. Deep down, you know you're talking to technology. You're not talking to another human. And at the core of humans and humanity is that deep connection. They want connection with other humans. The disconnect is what's causing the problem.
Yeah. It reminds me of when Jeff Bezos was making the decision to, like 15, 20 years ago when Amazon was really expanding to delivery and expanding to the everything store. One of the things he asked himself was, in 10 years from now or 15 years from now, what are people still going to want? They're always going to want faster delivery and cheaper products.
Yep.
Nobody's going to be like, oh, I want my product to be more expensive and to be delivered in longer time. And it's really useful to understand that, because in a world that evolves so quickly, what you need to understand are what are the things that are not going to evolve, and how do you optimize for those things and build a business around those things. So that was the principal thesis of what he was optimizing for. Is like, we're going to make sure we deliver things faster and more cheaply. I think with us and with property management, people are like, connection is not going to go away. Right? So I think that is what you need to optimize for as an AI tech company. You're building AI, but you're optimizing for a connection.
Yes.
Right? You're enabling
to support the connection.
To support the connection. Sorry.
Yep.
To support the connection.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's exactly right. If they want to build it right, that's what tech companies need to do, and understand that property management companies are tired of plugging in one thing to do one set of things, another thing to do another set of things. We also don't like the conglomerates that say they do it all, but really that's not their bread and butter. I was really excited about what Appfolio did because they gutted everything. I remember because I sat with their salesperson. Again, I don't like to be sold to. I sat with their salesperson back in like 21 or 22, and they were showing me their product. I'm like, I can't control my marketing budget. They were like, no, we choose how you market. I'm like, that's not going to work for me. I need to be able to control how it is marketed. At the time, I was director of marketing. So it's like I need to be able to control where those dollars go so I understand if I'm getting the right quality leads and the right applications and that whole flow. You can't tell me how to do that. And then that was just one part. It's like, your product's terrible. We're not going to go with you. Like, I'm not good with this. They gutted it. And then I met with them again last year before NAA, and they did where, of course, they spent all that money and did all that stuff. And I was floored. They built their own AI coding within their own network that is basically like a chat GPT alongside everything that they're doing. Did it have bugs? Yes, it had bugs. Most things have bugs. And they still needed to work on it. But again, like I said, I've done a lot of product advisory stuff. So I called them my brain children. I'm like, here you go. Do with it what you will, and I'll run off.
What do you feel like is not being, given how much you've seen and how involved you've been, what do you feel like is not being worked on that should be worked on? What problems exist that people aren't solving?
It's not necessarily problems that aren't being solved by other tech companies. The problems now are property management companies are not willing to change. They're not willing to adapt. They're not willing to face where we are right now. That's the bigger problem, which comes at your cost of having to educate. Education about how to use these tools is a big thing. That's why I ran the President Series here last year. I think I'm doing it again this year, all about AI and the topics of AI and how we should be using it. When I ran it last year, so you're talking to, I think it's Oakwood was there, and you're talking about other people that showed up to the talk. Light bulbs are going off. They're like, oh, we didn't even know that was a thing, or we didn't even know we could use this. Education to the right people about what you can do is huge. It's all in education, unfortunately.
And how does one actually go about?
You can't, because you guys have to sell this stuff.
Yeah. So is it just a natural, I mean, because you have in the adoption cycle, you have like the early adopters and
hello.
Early adopters. What yeah, because I'm just thinking through, if we were to solve this problem, of course that's why we're investing in education, but you're talking about education more on the corporate side of things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because if you really want to get buy-in and have everybody actually use it, it's the leaders that have to buy in first. And it has to be not just people like me. It has to also be a regional directors or other trainers within a company. It has to be the CEO. It has to be, if it's not within the C-suite, then you need to look at ownership. Because I have found that when I've gone to conferences or spoken to, I hate hierarchies. I hope you understand that. So but I don't know better words to use. Like a level up, which are your owners and investors in those group, they're down. They're down for all the tech. They love all the tech that's out there. They want it all, and they would sign up for it left and right. Your issue is lying in that C-suite because they haven't bought in yet. They still believe in the old school. I can't tell you how many times I've heard old school. Let's go back to old school. I want carbon copy everything. Screw this. I'm done. It's broken. It's not working. There's where your problem is.
So you think the C-suite is the laggards, the slow adopters?
It's been my experience.
Yeah.
Just in this industry.
In this industry as a whole.
Industry as a whole. It's never been at the ownership investor level. It's never even been on the on-site level. It's always that C-suite.
That's interesting to me. I would think it would be the other way around. But
I thought it would have been too.
Yeah, but maybe in this industry, okay.
There's a lot of pride, I think, in especially if you've been in the industry for so long and you've built your name up for like being the best CEO or being the most amazing regional, but then the job has shifted and what you need to be able to be good in your role is different now. It's hard, I think, for them to come to terms with. I'm just not one of those people that walks around with a lot of, I won't say pride. I think we all have pride. I just don't care. Like, I don't care what was done. I care about where we can go.
And you said there's a story about memorization or something along the lines of that.
Probably.
What?
I'm just really bad about memorizing. So
Okay.
like I'm really good at math, really good at science, really good at randomly.
Was that because
also
you're
language arts?
Really?
Yeah, where I'm from.
So
yeah.
did your parents push that when you were growing?
Oh,
'Cause you
there
grew
was-
up in Egypt.
I grew up half in Egypt, half here.
Okay.
So like I lived there for a few years. I've lived here and did more schooling here than I did there. I will say though, when I went to school there and came back here, I was 2 years ahead of everybody here. They were like, "Oh, do you want to skip grades?" I'm like, "No, all my friends are here. Why would I do that? Plus, I'll take the cakewalk when I can."
Yeah.
I'm very lazy when it comes to that. Yeah, there was no such thing as be bad at school. You can't come home with anything less than an A. Although I was an A-B kid, there was one part though. Like I said, I can't memorize worth anything. And I was in Egypt at the time, and it was during one of the like middle school or elementary school years,
Yeah.
and where you had to memorize every single country and every single capital for their country in the whole world. And I was failing because
Wait,
I
every
can't
single
memorize
country in every capital.
every country and every capital.
So Egypt's education was.
I went to a
just
private
accelerated.
school. If that's,
Okay.
I can't
So it's
say it's
accelerated.
necessarily Egypt's education.
Okay.
I went to a very private school
Okay.
that's over there.
Okay.
So their education, yeah, was really like I was already taking French. I was already doing all sorts of other things over there. I come back here, none of that's offered. People here don't even know all the countries. They barely know half the countries. They barely know some other states. They can't name them all. And it's I'm not knocking everybody. I'm just saying there's a lot more knowledge to be had. And so I would come from that type of background. So you had to be good. I mean, aside from my generation and my family, my parents' generation and above, you all were either PhDs in something or medical doctors. That's it. And my generation, we're the only ones that sort of strayed a little bit, except for two. Three. One's a PhD. He teaches in London, England. One is a psychiatrist in Switzerland, and the other one is a doctor out in California. So so me, I'm what? What am I? I don't know. Stuff in real estate. And three of my cousins, when I was growing up, they started coding. And I was like, what is this? They're insane. Like wasn't a thing. You're talking about 80s, 90s. I'm a little bit older than I look, but 80s, 90s. And they were already learning code. Well, one of those cousins now is like CEO of like one of the biggest companies in Canada. The other one was one of the core founding group of Wish.com, and he now lives in Italy. And yeah, I'm like, I missed the boat on that one. I was like, where was that? They were learning it, and they did go to that same school in Egypt and just kind of did all that. So there was none of that. So I was failing because I couldn't memorize all of the countries and their capitals. But in my mom's true fashion, she was like, we were on vacation. I wasn't allowed to leave the room till I memorized every single country and capital. Ask me today if I know them. Nope, couldn't tell you.
How did they feel about you being in real estate and stuff? Like,
they didn't really understand it.
Did you start? Where did you started your career? Where?
Here
in real estate.
Oh, if we're talking professional career, yeah,
professional career.
Yeah, I started as the lowest paid leasing agent for the Connor Group at the time. And it was because I was bartending before and I was living somewhere, and I walked in and the office and they're like, "We have a job. Do you want it?" I'm like, "I've never done this before. How hard is it?" They're like, "Oh no, it's not hard. We'll give you all the training." I'm like, "Cool." They send you to boot camp. That company sends you to literally what they call boot camp. I'm not sure if they still do it, but before you set foot on a property, you have to learn all the basics. And I remember the first day I went to the bar afterwards. I was like, what did I get myself into? All for what? I was taking a pay cut from being a bartender to come work on site, but I knew at the long end of it, this might be a good thing. I went to a property that was out here in a really nice ritzy area, and I couldn't close to save my life. Why? They wanted me to learn a script. They wanted me to close off of a script. I'm Dalia. I don't do scripts.
I feel like you don't like rules that much.
I hate rules.
Yeah.
I love writing them, but I believe they're meant to be bent, thought about, and broken and rewritten. I don't like, what is that? So so they were like wanting to fire me, but instead of firing me, they had an opening in Dayton, Ohio, which is about an hour drive from here. And they were like, "Would you work there for a little bit?" I'm like, "Sure." My closing ratio went from like 12% to 75%. And they were like, "What is the difference? Why are you doing so well at this property?" A, I had a manager that let me be me. And then B, I did not have to go off a script. I got to be me, which is being honest to people. That's exactly what it was. That's how I sold. And I went from there. They were like, oh, well, you need to come back to Columbus now. So they brought me back to Columbus. And I went and worked at another site out east, which had a very challenging property. Like it was very kind of low class. So I've worked everything from like CD properties to AAA in the middle of $1 million homes. And I just moved up the ladder from there.
So I want to go back to the rules thing.
Hate rules. Do you like rules?
No,
Yeah.
I don't like rules.
Right. What are they?
Yeah, I don't like rules. But what I want to understand though is your parents were strict. So how was that then?
Well, they were, but they weren't. They were in the sense of here's what our line is. The line was do good in school. You will go to college. There's no questions about that. And that really was it for them. They didn't care about the extracurriculars. It was just you have to have good grades and you have to go to college. That's it. So those were the rules. They had some other rules that they liked to tell me about. But I've always bucked the system.
And how many siblings do you have?
One older sister. She's the one that had to deal with the rules per se, but she's a rule follower, so that was kind of weird.
Oh, so you guys are pretty different.
Extremely.
Oh, wow.
Extremely. You can't meet her and think that, oh, I've met
Really?
Dalia. We are very different.
In what way? Besides rules?
I'm pretty, rules is a big one. I'm also pretty, I have a lot of energy. It doesn't really go away. She is way more monotone and very even keel. She believes in everything being black and white. I've never seen the world in black and white. She is a night owl. I am a morning person. In my opinion, the biggest difference is she's never healed from any of her traumas. And so she continues to perpetuate those in her adult life. Meaning a lot of the time when you hit a trauma, that's the age at which you stop emotionally maturing until you can heal whatever you've gone through. She hasn't never done that. And so I told you I mastered in psychology, so I'm all about healing. And I believe that healing is a lifelong journey. You're always going to have something that you need to work on within you. And I'm game at holding the mirror up to myself. She never could.
Where do you feel like you experienced some of those traumas then? Was it like...
Oh, God. Life? You ever feel like you've lived 8 million lives and then you realize you're still in this one? Yeah. It's life.
Was it like a childhood related?
A lot was childhood related. I'm a daughter of immigrants. My parents, they literally immigrated here in 1978, 9, and 80, one of those years. And my dad built his career off that. He was a civil engineer, taught at The Ohio State University. So did my uncle. So of course that's where I went, and so that's where my sister went. And they worked really hard. He achieved the American dream. He became a multimillionaire, what felt like overnight. By starting his own company, he partnered with people, and all of that got stripped away. He literally went into a lawsuit. He went in with a business partner. That business partner sold him out, and he went from having millions to, oh shit, we got to get out of this country. And so and I was in high school at that point. And in the middle of that, of course, there was issues between my parents, because I think that's what that can do. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Arab parents.
Probably similar to Indian parents.
Just about. So, okay, whatever trauma comes from that, normal stuff. And so we ended up going back to Egypt, and they wanted us to live there. A common theme that had been happening at that time was, especially for daughters, they didn't necessarily like when we hit puberty in America to be in America. So what they do is they say, we're going on our summer vacation back home, and they would trick you. So you're going there and then you're never come back. I've had a few girlfriends that are still over there. They never did make it back. And that almost happened to my sister and I. We went over there. This would have been my senior year of high school. So that summer between senior year, and my parents were like, yeah, we're not going back to the States. And I was like, are you effing kidding me? I just made a cappella chamber choir. I'm the president of Multicultural Diversity Alliance Club. And you're telling me I can't go back? What is that? And they were like, okay, you can go back, because while I'm not a rule follower, I understand the rules. And so because of that, I don't necessarily break them. I just need to understand the why. But so my sister never could do that. So they were going to make her stay there. And my sister's way, I'm a fighter, always been a fighter, and I will challenge you. I don't care who you are or what your authority is. I will chronically challenge. Always did. I was born that way. Literally. I
Really?
would say
You were like, you've always been like this.
always been like this. Even as a child, when my dad would say something, I'm like, why? And he'd be like, Dalia, it's because I said so. I'm like, that's not an answer.
Yeah.
Let's talk about why you're saying so. Whereas my sister would just shut down. She would just shut down, which is exactly what she did. She shut down. So I, being the younger sister, which a lot of people think I'm the older sister, I was like, that's not going to happen. And I argued for her. I advocated for her. As I said earlier, I'm into human rights, all of them. I advocated against my own family for her to come back to the States. And that's what ended up happening. So we came back to the States, but just my sister and I. And I lived across the street from the house that I grew up in with a neighbor. My sister lived down on campus. And I, was in a sleeping bag on this girl's floor for half my senior year of high school. It was awful. So to talk about growing up so quick, like grew up real quick. And I took on working jobs at that point. And I know my parents didn't want that. It's not like you dream of living half a world away from your kids when they're, 17 and 19? Like, that's not okay. But it worked. I mean, I'm resilient. So, so it worked.
And why did they have to move when the business collapsed? Because
Lawsuits,
and they couldn't come back.
No. I believe they're all resolved now because it's been decades.
Yeah.
So I would hope they're resolved
Yeah.
by now. But it was due to lawsuits and issues with whatever went down. I don't know all the details, but I know.
So they've
a lot
never
of them.
come back since?
No, they did.
Okay.
So
visit
towards the
or-
end of my senior year of high school, we finally worked it out so that my mom could come back. So she came back and she and I stayed in a studio apartment. And then my dad ended up coming back, I think, somewhat later that same year. But at that time, it was a lot leaning on me as a high schooler. I was literally supporting them. They were still supporting me in terms of like they lived there and they paid the bills I think that they could pay, but then I would jump in and help there too. There was a lot put on my shoulders at a very young age, and my sister didn't like that. She felt like she was being cut out, and she's older. So she thought she should be the one having to deal with all that stuff, and she felt very resentful, but she resented me for it. So needless to say, we are not close right now. We're actually no contact.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I believe that family is exactly what you make it. It is. There are going to be people in your family and people that you invite in your life who are not good for you, who are not there to actually benefit your life in any way. In fact, they're there to detract. If you find somebody that you're sitting in their energy and you're feeling horrible after you leave or chronically feeling like you have to do extra, but I'm not saying that it's tit for tat. It's not like that. It's if they don't love you the same way that you love them, if that isn't your family, whether blood or not, you don't have to keep them in your life. You can go no contact. I had gone no contact recently with my sister, and I went no contact with my dad. But he's now dead. So it's definitely no contact. If you can't tell, I have a lot of humor.
Yeah.
That's an Egyptian thing.
It's an Egyptian. So how did you process, how do you process your emotions?
Quickly.
Do you actually process them?
Oh yeah, you feel them. Well, I learned a lot about meditation, heavy into meditation. You can do meditation doing just about anything, walking, driving, or just sitting in complete silence. And I faced them. So at first it wasn't easy. At first it was having to work through a lot of different feelings. And now I can sit with a feeling, understand it, call it by its name, feel it. I don't run from it anymore. I feel it and then I let it go. and then you just move on. And unfortunately, I've taught both of my kids this. I shouldn't have said unfortunate.
Why did you say unfortunately?
I shouldn't have said unfortunate because I have a son and my son is 14 and a half. And I have to add the half because it's a thing. He's 14 and a half and he is very good at this too. I say unfortunate because other kids his own age aren't. And so he finds it very difficult to find and make friends because he is, I'm mom pride, I guess. He is so far advanced, emotionally speaking, that he can't find other male friends. So of course the girls want to be all around him, and then I'm not cool with that. I'm like, you don't bring anybody home.
Yeah.
Like, this is where your inner parent starts coming out, and I'm like, I will never feel my age. I'll never feel. I know me. I'll be like 80, 90 on my deathbed, still thinking I'm 20. Like it won't happen. I won't grow up.
And what about your? You said you have another son or daughter?
I have a daughter.
Okay.
She's 12, almost 13.
Okay.
So
And
they're 18 months apart.
how are they? Are they as different as you and your sister?
Yeah. They're very, very different, but they get accused of being twins more than you can blink. People think they're twins and have since they've both been little children because they play off each other. They have like twin soul energy almost.
Really? So they're super close. No, they're just like
This
similar.
morning, not so much. No, I think they will be in time. Right now, my son is he's also into science. He also is into learning about human behavior. He's also into running. He likes basketball. He's into that stuff, but he's very introverted. He also likes gaming, and he's with me on all this tech stuff. We're constantly sending each other all this tech stuff.
Oh, cool.
My daughter, she is a sports nerd, and I call them ball sports. She's very good at everything with the ball. She plays competitive soccer. She picked up a football and could throw it perfectly. I'm like, what is this? How are we related? Like, I know I birthed you, but my God. And she's so trendy and so on point that my son and I, we just kind of look, I'm like, how did that happen? I don't know how that happened. I've never been cool. She's so cool. It's the weirdest thing. But she's pretty spectacular. They're both really awesome, but they're both very, very different. My son's the one that will have huge, deep philosophical talks. We've
Already?
oh my God, already. We've talked about black holes and the meaning of life since he was 4. Like, this kid is of another world, and he's the one that I have those talks with. And my daughter, she wants to talk about she'll talk about stuff like that. She just finds it very boring. She just makes fun of. Well, we like humor, so she just makes fun of me.
And your husband?
Oh, I'm divorced. Okay. I got divorced in December of 22, and I have been very happy ever since.
How did you process it the same way?
So the funny thing about that is I had lost my mom in 2016 to breast cancer, which was the hardest moment of my life. That's actually what put me into a deep hole, and I didn't really know how to come out of it. That's where the meditation and all that came through. The reason I bring that up is by the time I go to have a divorce, I'm like, this is a cakewalk compared to that.
That was really hard.
That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I've done some heinous things, but that was the hardest.
So she was the closest person to you.
She was my person. Do you have a person?
No.
What?
Well, my parents. Well, I don't have a.
No. I mean, like, your person. Like, there's someone in your life that doesn't judge you, loves you no matter what.
Yeah, of course.
You feel the same about them, no judgment, but also they're the person you can call all the time, talk about anything or nothing, be completely mindless with, and just kind of enjoy life with. That person for me ended up being my mom. And so when I lost her, it's a rock of your foundation is now gone. Your semblance of who you are as a person, gone. You're like, well, wait, shit, who am I? Like, I don't know. I have to figure this out again. It's almost like being reborn. And so what happened for me, my kids were young. This was 2016. So I had to still be a parent after losing a parent. And my dad, he was shit. Like, he was always a really bad dad. So now she left me with these two horrible people, like my dad and my sister. I was like, thanks a lot, number one. Number two, I have young children that still need me to show up every day. How the hell do you do that when you can barely function? So I was leaning on my husband at the time, and I leaned a lot on him at that time, and he broke. He couldn't be that support. And that really didn't sit well for me. It didn't. For a long time, it didn't. That's actually how Strap Grip got birthed. It was a grief project. I call it a grief project because I was trying to find my way. I was trying to find who I was. And I found a problem, bags falling off your shoulder. So I solved it. I looked up like, hey, how can I solve this problem? And it was just a clip that you can put on your bag that literally helps you keep all your bags together. But it was a grief project. It was born out of the wrong intention, if you will. I was just trying to find my way. So the company, in essence, failed. I still have the patent, but the company failed. because it wasn't the right intention. I didn't start it for the right intention. And so my husband at the time, it didn't sit well with him, and he couldn't be my rock. He couldn't be the one to like help me or support me in any capacity outside of taking care of the kids. Cause I mean, that's a hard thing to do. I'm a very strong-willed person. How do you support somebody like me? I mean, that was also unfair for me to ask for him to do when I'd never asked him to do it before ever. But regardless of me ever asking, you didn't do it. So it was a slow burn, right? 2016 is when she died. I filed in 22. I filed in September of 22. I moved out also in September of 22 and had to rebuild my life. And my dad died in July of 22. So, and he didn't die here either because he's an idiot. He ended up convincing his brother to take him to Egypt. My dad's one thing was he didn't want to die alone. Guess what happened? He died alone in a hospital in Egypt with nobody there. My sister and I are both over here. Like, so just an idiot. So how do you come back? So when you talk about processing emotions, I'm very good at it. And getting divorced, it was hard. So I don't mean to minimize that, especially when you have to find another place to live, make sure your kids are good, keep your work steady so you don't get fired when you're trying to do what you need to do. It wasn't easy, but nothing in my life has ever been. So for me, it was just another day and another day to show up for myself and for everybody else. And actually, the biggest thing you could do for yourself is show up for yourself. That's why self-care is a big thing right now. You want other people to start doing better. That means you do better first. You have to lead by example. You can't just, that's why I don't like all those rules. That's like basically barking at people what to do. Okay, good. Do you live it? Because I live it. I live my truth every day. Unapologetically, sometimes gets me in trouble, but but I live it every day. So yeah. I don't know if that answered your question.
Do you hold resentment at all?
To
with
whom?
People?
Sometimes I find that creeps up, but then at the end of the day, what's the use in it? So I don't really resent anybody. I actually can see the situation for what it was. It was a time in life, any one of them, and everybody really is doing the very best that they can. They really are, with the tools that they have, with the knowledge that they have. But like I mentioned earlier, anybody is only ever acting to the level of their own healing, to the level of their own emotional maturity, which comes out of the healing. So if they haven't really gravitated or graduated to the level that you're at, you can't ask them to be. So what's the point of holding resentment?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Are you resentful?
I'm not resentful. No.
You paused a little too long.
Yeah, because I wanted to give an honest answer.
Oh, okay.
I'm not. No, I think like, I feel like holding resentment just kind of like hurts you. Like, what's the value in it? I think I see a lot of things as like, in some ways selfishly, like, what is the value for me? That's why I ask questions more than I talk, preferably, because I don't like, what is the value of me talking? I'd rather ask questions and learn and see what I can apply for me versus just like talking. So I think similarly with resentment, it's like, what is the value? Like, I feel like, what is the value of it? And I think everybody knows it's not valuable, but it's one of those things that it's like hard to let go, right? I would say like there's some family members that I know are very resentful. Like they can't let go of the things that have happened, no matter how much they know they need to.
Right. It's because they feel wronged.
They feel wronged.
It's the part of them that feels wronged. But why did you feel entitled to that in the first place? It's just, is anybody doing the digging any deeper to find out why that emotion is there? That's what processing emotions is all about. Digging a little deeper to find out why that's there and what purpose does it serve. If you were really, really wrong, to have the conversation with somebody. But if you weren't, then you need to let it go.
When do you spend time to learn all of that? Because you definitely are pretty multidisciplinary. Like where, if you have
it's hard to
kids
go into one direction with me. I go a lot of different
But that's
directions.
really cool. I really enjoy talking to people that are multidisciplinary because I think for me, that's also something I tried to take pride in. It's like, okay, I'm going to be social, but I'm also going to be studious and I'm going to be like, you know, I'm going to have fun and I'm going to work hard. And I think it's fun to just live life and max out everything.
That's what we're here to do.
That's what we're here to do. But
why live small?
At some point, it's hard though with time. I mean, I don't have kids. I don't like I have a job, but how do you?
Good for you.
But how do you manage like, where do you make time to like invest in learning in all these
That's the thing is I don't
aspects?
look at it as making time that's separate. I don't look at it that way. My kids, and everybody has different feelings about their own kids. Some people think their kids they worship them or whatever. I've never been able to see anybody and put them on a pedestal ever. I've never had an idol. I've never been like most people worship their parents or whatever. Never been able to do that. I've always seen people with their flaws, including my kids. I know what flaws they have. However, those two are the reasons that helped me move, give me my why to push through whenever I couldn't. They're still my reasons to this day. So I include them in the learning. There's no separate. There's no, I need to make time to learn now, or I need to make time to do whatever the case might be. I just include them. If I have them with me, they come with me and they learn. And it's up to them, because remember, freedom of choice. Would you like to learn? Come with me. We'll learn together. There's nothing wrong with that in involving other people in learning. However, I do sign up to go to conferences. I do sign up to learn from other people pretty regularly. And I'm learning off my phone as often as I can, and usually in the evenings. I've been divorced since 22. I understand it's 2025, but what I do not make time for, because I don't care about it, is dating. Some people throw themselves into the dating world because that's how they identify who they are. I don't give a shit about that. I would rather learn more about what's happening with AI, or go on more stages and try to advocate for our agency and for our pushing forward, our progressiveness of where we are, than I would about trying to worry about who I'm going to date. That, to me, soaks up a lot of people's time, if you ask me. That's what the dating shows are all about. That is just a bunch of bullshit. I just don't understand why anybody makes time for it, to be honest with you. Unless it fits in your life and just somehow falls in your lap.
Wow.
Great.
That's a bold take.
It's my belief.
So so what is your belief on like love and like all of that?
Oh, I'm a romantic.
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer on love, but it has to be right. It shouldn't be forced, because I tried the forcing thing. You saw how that worked. So
But how do you find love if you don't date?
I'm not looking.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't care to look. That's not how I.
So that's not what you're.
It's not my priority in life, and I really don't think it should be people's priority in life. If you think that we are so lucky to exist in this time and space right now, if you think that is so that you can go find somebody to share your life with, that you've missed the whole point of life. You've missed it altogether. You exist as your own entity, as a person that has your own light to shine, that has your own reason for being here.
How do you think about kids then? Do you feel like
Well,
kids?
I love my kids.
No, but just putting your kids aside, just the concept of having kids, right? Because when you think about, like, when you abstract everything away,
Yeah.
honestly, I feel like most people would say the whole point of life is to
Share it with others.
share it with others.
Yeah, but why does that mean you have to date? Why does that mean you have to have kids? It doesn't. Literally, it is to share it with others. We're sharing it right now. I'm sharing it with everybody that's here. I share it every day. Every time that I go into tomorrow to have all these people show up at the event, you can share your life in so many other ways. It's not one definitive way that makes it right. The only reason people think that's the right way is because that's what we've been told by Disney, by religion, by our parents, by everybody. We've been told that. But that's not everybody's truth to live. And it's shame on us for pushing that forward. If it's not right for everybody, it's not right.
What is your relationship with religion?
I had a feeling you were going to go there. I was born and raised Muslim. So I'm very used to going to a mosque and doing the adhan and fasting. I walked away from the religion at 13 because, remember, I don't like rules and I question everything. I had read the Quran at that point and felt like some of it really didn't go with my own belief system, and started questioning things and just decided it wasn't for me. I'm spiritual in the fact that I believe we're all here for a reason and we're all here doing things. Like, we're not just existing for the sake of existing. But I don't follow a religion anymore. And I don't force my kids to.
And you don't force your kids to?
No. Now, if my kids were to tell me that they wanted to be a religion, or they wanted to go to a church or a mosque or a synagogue or whatever, I am all for it. Because again, you need to have the right to choose what it is you want to follow in your life. It's your life to live. It's not my life to live.
So if you were to like distill 3 to 5 things that you want to impart to your kids? And it sounds like, I think like freedom of choice is one of them, or questioning is
That's more of a who you are.
what are those 3 to 5 things? What are those values that you want to instill to them?
Number one is be the change. I literally live by that. If you're willing to say and believe something, you better walk that walk and know what it means fully. Don't allow other people to change who you are either. Have a good sense of who you are, what your values are, and then anybody that happens to come along, if they fit, great. If they don't, great. But that comes for friendships, that comes for relationships, that comes for jobs, comes for every facet of your life. Also, never stop learning. I think when you stop learning, that's when you get old. I think that's when, no, it's not the gray hair.
Yeah.
That's when you get old, is when you stop learning. And also compassion. Have compassion. It isn't hard to give a shit about other people. It's just not. And if you can start with empathy and understand what life must be like for somebody else, and how can you make that better, those are the big things. And self-care. Take care of yourself first, because you can't pour from an empty glass.
Yeah, that was actually very well put. Yeah. I think like,
Do you live by any of those?
try to. I definitely am obsessed with learning, so I live by that. I like how you're asking me questions.
Well,
That's good.
That's
No,
what
it's
I
good.
do.
You should. Yeah, you should.
I want to know what you
No,
think.
it's good. A lot of people, I sometimes forget to tell people, it's like, it's a conversation. You can ask me questions too. I don't know if I live too much with self-care sometimes. I would say like, maybe like I try, obviously on this road trip, it's been hard, but like in my normal life, I try to take care of my health and things like that. But I find myself like constantly emotionally being like, my feelings don't really matter. Right.
Ugh.
And
That's not good.
yeah, I don't think it's that good.
No. Why do you think that way? Do you feel that way regularly?
I felt that way in relationships where it's like, I'm just going to like, I think it's because it's like, I think what I feel like it is like, I can solve any problem. So like, I don't really like, if I'll just solve it emotionally. And it's like, I don't know. Why do I feel that way?
I don't know.
It's probably related to my childhood. I think like I was a middle child. So maybe I felt like I was like overseen when my grandparents were living with us. It was very obvious that my grandparents favored my brother and sister, and not intentionally. My parents have never made me feel that way, but I think that's one thing. I don't know.
You know
like,
that matters. Like when you talk about self-care, it's not just did you exercise and eat right. Mental health and emotional health is a real thing, and that's what's eating up a lot of people right now. I mean, the most of the people I come in contact with, it's not even about that they really need anything from me. It's just to have the space to sit and just to talk. Just somebody that will listen, somebody that actually cares. And if you don't sit with yourself, hopefully you have somebody that you can sit with that will listen to you and just allow space for you to feel, because that's what's sounding like it's missing.
Yeah, I actually use ChatGPT a lot
Oh my God.
for this. Have you tried it? It's actually very effective.
I know. I mean, I've seen the prompts.
It's very effective. Yeah, those prompts.
I've
to
seen
try to
the prompts.
try to dissect myself to understand. I think I'm just trying to reflect on your question and answer it thoughtfully. I think another thing is that I feel like sometimes it makes me weak, or it's like if I care too much about myself, then I'm just like being weak. And
Yeah, no, that's just the patriarchy talking.
yeah,
That's all that is.
yeah.
You need to unlearn. You have some unlearning you're going to need to do if you really want to sit with yourself and treat yourself better. Because you can't expect other people to listen to you or take you as seriously as you want them to when you have that sitting in the back.
Yeah, let me tell you. So I think like what I feel, I'm just trying to like really think about it, is like, then I start making excuses for myself. Then it's like, when people say, give yourself grace, like I kind of understand that. And I think there's value, but then it's like, oh, I didn't go to the gym today, I'm going to give myself grace. Or it's like, oh, I made a mistake that I shouldn't have made. Like I'm going to give myself grace. And I think I'm definitely super hard on myself. Like that's without question. And part of it is like by design, because I think if you just start giving yourself grace for everything, you're not holding yourself to a high standard.
You're not holding yourself accountable, yeah.
And I want to hold myself to a high standard. I want to be the best person I can be. And I think, but then it's emotionally, I feel the emotional exhaustion, right? Like with building the company and having high standards and like dealing with all this stuff.
I I can imagine.
Yeah, but I think like, so that's where my relationship with the grace thing and the self-care thing is like kind of a tricky one, because I feel like if I overdo that, then it's just, you're just making excuses for yourself.
Yeah, but that could also just be the upbringing talking, because giving yourself grace is still probably, compared to somebody else who is just not even giving themselves a hard time. If you're like that, I'm also like that. I'm hardest on myself.
Yeah, I feel like you're hard on yourself.
Extremely. I have high standards and high expectations for myself. I don't have any for my kids, but I have them for myself. And I have given myself grace. So I choose a word to follow every year. 2 years ago, especially through the divorce, was grace. That was always what I was doing. If you're going through something tumultuous, I would say give yourself grace and then work through it after that. That would be a thing. But you have to understand that you understand what you need. If you just sat with yourself long enough, you'll be able to discern whether you need to give yourself grace or hold yourself accountable. But if you sit in a meditative state in some fashion, you'll be able to find the difference.
Yeah, and this is a challenging thing that I struggle with is like, there's this big, it's not a movement, but like when somebody builds something great and they sell their company and they do all this stuff, or they're later in life, they kind of look back and they give advice to the younger people being like, you should not take life so seriously. You should give yourself grace. You should, do all this. But I think the reality is like, they didn't do that when they were in my position. They did the opposite. And that's why they're saying that. Would they have been there if they like were really easy? And so I think what I struggle with.
Well, what's the outcome you want? See, they might have realized that, yeah, they might have been successful, but what did they give up for that? And what's the outcome you really want? And do those align? Because I think when a lot of those people turn around and say that, it's because they missed something in their life and they realized after the fact, oh shoot, I should have gave more time to that because I cared a lot about that and I left it in the dust. For what? That's when your values might not be in alignment with your objectives for wherever you're trying to go. That's something only you can answer for you.
Yeah, that's where I the thing that constantly weighs on myself is like, if I let go of these insecurities, like, will I lose my drive, or will I lose like?
It'll only get better. It won't. That's the thing. Everybody thinks that they have to be on this grind in order to get wherever they need to go. That grind, maybe that was true 30 years ago, 40 years ago. It is not the case anymore. That is what another function of AI is, what it does for us. It frees us up to not have to be on the grind, so that guess what? When you're 80, 90, hopefully we all live that long or longer. I don't actually want to live longer. I was like, peace out at 82. But you don't want to be one of those that gets to that part of your life and realize you spent all this time when you had good knees, when you had the body capacity to travel or to do something, to experience. We're here living this life to experience, and it's not going to take away from your drive. I'm saying that being me right now. I went through a lot of stuff. I live like this all the time, and all it's done is giving me more opportunities. I've been on more stages talking. I've been invited in more spaces just because I let go. And I cared more still about my own self. It's because I'm weird as false, but I've given that myself the grace to be that way. And it's only opened up more doors and actually created more space to have more drive. It's the opposite. But until you're ready to let go, you're going to have to deal with the hard part in the middle. It feels like you're in the muck of whatever it is that you're going through right now.
Because it feels like this is the only way I know, and like.
Yeah, but you're a child of learning.
Yeah.
Which means you can learn a different way to be.
Yeah, and this is something I've talked about with a friend, which is, what if you ran the thought experiment that everything you believe was wrong?
Yeah, what if it is?
Exactly. And that's like, it takes practice though, I feel like, because like I can feel this way, and then this is so ingrained, these things, that's why I'm trying to understand it, right? And that's why part of the reason why I do this podcast is like, it's actually in some ways a selfish pursuit. Yeah. Because it like helps me really understand myself through the experiences of others.
Yeah, but you still have experiences that you can share that somebody else can learn from. But I hear you. I hear you. It's a part of life that you have to just get through, and you have to sit with yourself and create this. I don't know how you're going to do it here, but when you have a moment to breathe. It's okay. You don't want to let life pass you by. Like I said, I'm in my 40s now, and I still feel like I'm 20. It'll never go. I'll never not be that way. That's just who I am as a person. But I find pride in that. You have to unlearn, and you have to also be flexible enough to think that what you believe right now can very well be wrong. I mean, absolutely can be wrong. Medical. Look at the medical field. What they believe. They used to give lobotomies just because if you were depressed. Can you imagine if we did that now? Like everybody gets a lobotomy free. I'd have like 5 lobotomies at this point. That's not right. That's not real. And science has disproved, those types of facts. And but how could you be that way if you don't think, you have to think like a scientist, meaning you'll have a theory, but no core belief. Why? Because it can all be challenged. And this could all be so wrong. We could all be so wrong about so much, but are you so proud that you can't accept that? And then shift. Remember, we're talking about agility. You have to be able to understand when you're wrong and then shift and go the other direction.
I think there's 2 types of knowing, which I've always like struggled with. There's like the intellectual knowing of something, and then there's like the emotional knowing of something.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like everybody,
IQ, EQ?
in some ways, but an example is like everybody knows that like money, like being extravagantly wealthy is most likely not going to like correlate to massive increase in happiness. But like people tend to chase that, or like other lusts in life, knowing intellectually that won't give you what you want, but emotionally not realizing it. So I feel like I'm at that point where it's like, hey, I kind of know intellectually that something, because I've also studied and like done my own reflections and I think intellectually I know these things, but I feel like I have to like, it's like one of those things where it's like I have to do it to then like learn it fully.
Embrace a different way of thought.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're living through those times right now. That's that's the other reason you can't take all the advice you got from all the people that have made it, because they're not living in these times right now. And I'm the oldest of the millennial generation. I really hate doing the generations because I really err and lean more towards the alphas. I'm way more an alpha than I am a millennial, which is stupid because I birthed the alphas. But anyway, we've lived through so much. I mean, so much. Starting with the LA riots, you've got OJ trial, you've got Y2K, you've got how many recessions at this point? You have multiple first Black president, then you have first reality TV president. Like you have all sorts of things happening global. Then you have TikTok emerging, which really glued the world together. That's why it was so scary, I think, for everybody, because we actually got to communicate with everybody. We thought Facebook was going to do that, but Facebook didn't really do that as well. We're living through some really weird times where information is at your fingertips, as is misinformation is at your fingertips. And how do you figure out the difference between the two? So you can't really take advice. That's why I say sit with yourself, because you're really the only person that knows what you're supposed to be doing and how to maneuver through this thing called life. But guess what? The entire thing is made up. Everything that you're seeing is completely made up.
If you were to,
I don't know how else to say that. It's completely made up.
if you were to, going back to being nerdy, if you were to chart your happiness over the last 4 decades, excluding 0 to 10, or you can include it if you remember, like how would you chart it?
Well, I don't chart happiness. What I chart is peace. I'm not after happiness. I'm after inner peace. That's truly what I'm after. I'm very big Gandhi fan, like, for that reason. Yeah, I know. You got it. You said, how would I chart it? I'm the happiest I've ever been right now. And then the other happiest moment I had was that weird time when it was just my mom and I, when she came back from Egypt, living in a studio apartment, which was really funny because I'm quite sure that was one of her most miserable times, living in a studio apartment with her daughter, having nothing, relying on your youngest daughter. Like I know that wasn't her most favorite time, but it was one of mine because it was just she and I. And it was, and I very much value, I'm a quality timer. So I very much value the time that I spend with the people I love most. So I'm happiest now, right now, because I put myself first. I chose myself. And what is that teaching people around me? Holy crap. When people watch what I'm doing and the choices that I make, they learn and they come back and they tell me, Dalia, guess what I did? I did XYZ today. Sometimes it's about learning about AI. They're like, guess what I learned today? I'm like, what? Like, maybe you could teach me something. That's great. But it's because we're in those zones of, it's more of like being in a zone of genius. You can only be in your zone of genius if you're at your most peace. There's nobody there to mess with my peace now. I have nothing but peace.
Thanks, Dalia. This was really great. I really enjoyed this.
I hope that you sit with yourself more. I enjoyed this too. It was a great conversation.
Yeah.
You just never know where they're going to go.
Yeah. And that's why I don't like, I mean, you can look at half my pages of scribbles, not really.
They were
notes.
charts.
They were charts.
There was one that was the slope and
oh yeah, the slope and y-intercept.
You had a lot going on there.
But thanks for doing this. This has been like one of the best conversations I've had on the podcast.
I mean, I'm sure you say that to everybody, but thank you.
I say that a lot, but not as frequently. No, but seriously, it's okay. I'll be more precise with my words. It's the most.
You are way too in your head. You know that, though. Right?
Thought-provoking,
Okay, just checking. You're very in your head.
I am in my head. You can see that.
Oh yeah, that's going to be your biggest hurdle when it comes to feeling your feelings. You have to get out of your head.
Yeah.
No, for real. Like, stop thinking. Like, when you catch yourself overthinking, I don't know what method you could impose on yourself, but stop and just feel. Stop thinking. That's where everybody goes wrong, is they're thinking too much. You're very calculated with what you say, which I appreciate. I know you're doing it to be respectful. I'm quite frankly the opposite. I'm not as meticulous with my words because I am with the fact that what I say is exactly what I mean.
Thank you. This is good.
You're welcome. Thank you. I've had a lot of fun.